Am I the asshole for not doing the homework my husband's therapist assigned to me? My husband and I have been together for over a decade. During this time, he's been in therapy on and off. He had a hard time finding a therapist that was right for him. A few of his therapists early on encouraged him to just medicate, no regular sessions, and one pushed religion on him. Neither of these worked. What he needed was someone to meet with him semi-regularly, not push their religious beliefs on him, and instead work with him to develop appropriate strategies / talk through the issues. Whenever he told me about one of these more questionable strategies, i.e. pushing just love Jesus, I said I thought that was inappropriate and he should find a better therapist and go without until then. There have been long stretches where he has gone without therapy because my husband isn't generally good at taking care of himself. That falls on me. I have to remind him to do things to keep him healthy / taken care of. Drink water. Eat more than once a day. There are literally times I have to tell him he needs to brush his teeth. He also gets anxious making any decisions on his own. I have to help him pick out new clothes, write emails to work colleagues, or groups of friends. He can't make plans for us. I have to make them all. Or I should say, I have to help him make the plans so then he can say he made them. He's a good person. He loves me so much, but he is so dependent on me. It is draining. I have to spend an hour at least once a week talking him through whatever crisis he's having. Sometimes this crisis is over what new collectible to buy. A collectible for him that I do not have any interest in. I finally demanded that he look into therapists again. I told him I cannot be his therapist and he cannot depend on me this much. He needs to start taking care of himself and get a therapist that will work with him to develop these skills. And he did, which is great. However, a month into therapy, he said his therapist had homework for me. I was supposed to write out a list of his great qualities, at least a page or two. Mind you, this is after years of me carrying all his emotional baggage, essentially mothering him and giving him credit for things I did so he can feel better about himself. And one year, I did in fact write out 100 things that I thought were great about him for a gift. I was so frustrated. I said no. I said therapy is his work, not mine, and I've spent too many years of our lives solving things for him. It wasn't fair to ask me to sit down and do this homework when the point of this therapy was for him to build his own skills without depending on me all the time. He was upset, but accepted it. He said he understood. Well, just the other day, he told me that his therapist doesn't like me and thinks I should be thanking and showing him appreciation more. I told him I didn't care what his therapist thought. They are his therapist. This does have me thinking, though. Am I the asshole for not doing the homework his therapist assigned to me?
Couples therapy. I mean, it's like, if it's going to be like that, then it's going to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's really odd to me that I have a lot of questions on the credibility of this therapist, for one, because what did you say that that was his second time seeing her and she says that she doesn't like his wife?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's not a therapist. And maybe what happened is that he's having a lot of resentment towards his wife and he's bringing it up to the therapist and she's just nodding along. And now he's saying that she doesn't like him.
Yeah.
You know, I have a hard time with this because I've never heard of just a therapist outright being like, I don't like this person 2 times in.
Yeah. Definitely suspicious.
A wife, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's really suspicious. I think anyone that tries to assert their opinions on to their the person they're supposed to be providing therapy services to, you're crossing a line that like you probably shouldn't. I don't know if anyone saw Shrinking with Jason Segel, Harrison Ford. Amazing show on Apple TV. But like he's a therapist. Mm-hmm. And he like even questions with himself. He's like, there's these people, like, I wish I could just tell them what to do. Yeah. But it goes against my moral obligation. And you kind of like, you teach people the tools they need to solve their own problems.
Exactly.
It's not meant for you to like play puppeteer and plant ideas and tell them exactly, like, you're not in it. This isn't you, your life. Like, you can't do that. So I completely agree.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
And
weird.
also the other thing too, what I was saying, couples therapy, that was my first response, because if you're going to give assignments to somebody else as a therapist who's not there with you, that's a couples therapist thing. That's a couples therapist
Yeah.
job. That is, the other person has to agree to this. Now you're putting, his wife in an uncomfortable situation, because now she's like, you don't know all the dynamics of our relationship, and now you're telling me to do something day one. It's like, I never signed up for this. He did. He wants
Yeah.
individual therapy. He's looking for individual therapy. So it feels inappropriate.
It would be non-negotiable for me to continue this relationship. We need therapy together, couples therapy, or like we really got to talk separating.
Yeah. And it's hard too, because I've also gone to a few different therapists and just, or had meetings with them too, initial calls to
Yeah, to get their vibe.
Yeah, to vet out, see like who you connect with. Because I mean, at the end of the day, therapists are people, and we're human, So I think that a lot of times people can go into therapy and have a couple of bad experiences and think therapy isn't for them, but it's really about finding the right person, which takes some work. And so I would suggest not to give up. And I think that this guy needs a new therapist, clearly, if she's telling him day 2 that she doesn't like his wife. That's really inappropriate.
Do you think he's lying?
I don't know. And all we can go off of is like what we're hearing right now, but like it is something to question.
Well, and I always say, like, finding your therapist, like, it is a process. It's kind of like dating or making friends. Like, it isn't this instantaneous thing that, sometimes people get lucky, but usually it's not like your first therapist is your perfect therapist forever. Like, it's not like that. But he has like this pattern of like, I don't know, it sounds like the wife isn't really involved in meeting these people, but it sounds like he has this pattern of like, oh, this therapist is crazy, it's bad. And,
that's true.
And like, I'm going to quit. And then he goes back to this like way of his wife doing everything because she will. And she's, I don't want to like blame her, but she has kind of enabled it.
Him, yeah.
So it's really tough because I don't know if he's neurodivergent. I'm not sure if there's an anxiety disorder, but like, this is not sustainable for her to continue on being the crutch.
And it's really difficult too, because I know of situations, where people have been in where they really love the person.
Yeah.
And the person is struggling. And so they want to help them because they love them. And then the person who is struggling, they get so used to it that they want to lean on it, and that they actually do start to forget their own tools to fend for themselves. So it sucks because it's the person's trying to care for them, but they're enabling them. And then the person who, and again, this could be a completely different situation because I don't know the ins and outs of what this guy is going through, but I know even for myself personally, I've thought about this, where if I am dating somebody who kind of just does everything for me, then I feel myself start to get kind of lazy,
complacent.
Yeah. And and then if I am dating someone who pushes me, then I feel more energized. And I hate to say that it's, I don't want it to be dependent on anyone else, but like it happens to me sometimes. I notice it in myself, and I have to like check myself. So all that being said,
I know
a lot of rambling. Sorry, but
no, I like it.
I think this situation it's kind of difficult to really know without it's.
I know. I haven't read any of the comments, and I'm going to check right now to see if OP has responded to any. The top comment on this one, not the asshole, but I think you need your own therapist. You're carrying 99% of this relationship, and it seems to be draining you completely. What are you doing to care for yourself? And someone quotes that response, you're carrying 99%. Honestly, in this situation, if my partner had told me that his therapist didn't like me, I would just say, good, divorce me, and go stay with a friend or in a hotel for a week or two. It's possible that I might ring the therapist and let her have it too, but that would depend heavily on my level of, okay, I'm done now, versus my level of anger.
Yeah.